National Assembly of Belize was founded on December 31st, 1963. Before then, it was called the Legislative Assembly. The first general election was held in 1954, where 9 of the 15 members were elected. Before then, all members of the Assembly were nominated. With the right to vote came the emergence of political parties.
The House business is important. The proceedings in both the House and the Senate, very important, because people do listen. And what they're listening to hear is how the elected representatives are taking care of them as a people, how they're advancing those initiatives. And so people then should also take an active part, and it's called participatory role in ensuring that their interests are taken care of by their elected representatives. So whether it has to do with water, safety, whatever it is, business, their representatives should be representing their interests from their various constituencies in the House and Senate.
The People's United Party won the first general election. The members who were elected to the then Legislative Assembly included names like George Price, Philip Golson, and Lee Richardson, to name a few. The name changed to the National Assembly when British Honduras gained full self-governance and effected the Constitution. One role that has remained constant through the transition is the seat of the Speaker. In Belize, the Speaker's role has been traditionally one of a referee.
It's important because the business that is discussed here by the 31 members of the Parliament and the House and the 13 in the Senate, that is what impacts everyday life, right? That they create legislation, they amend legislation, they debate on motions, on loan motions as well, as well as other forms of motion in terms of support for a foreign country program or an alliance with a foreign country or position with a foreign country. So it does impact everyday lives of Belizeans.
The Assembly building in Belmopan was inaugurated in 1970. 54 years later, it is undergoing major renovations. Over the course of the next 12 months, parliamentary meetings will be held at the George Price Center for Peace and Development. At the 1970 inauguration, an ordinance was passed to change the name of the colony of British Honduras to Belize. I think most Belizeans lack interest in the business that takes place within the National Assembly.
Well, have you watched the House meetings? You know, it's up to us, those of us who are in leadership positions and those of us who are responsible for what goes on at the legislature. It's up to us to make it appealing and to encourage our citizenry to pay attention and to be alert at what's happening at your legislature, because it impacts them, it impacts all of us. We have to do a better job, and I say that collectively. The way we debate, language we use, the parliamentary decorum, but we also, from the administrative side of the parliament, we have to do a better job in terms of reaching out to the public.
During National Assembly debates, spectators get to see what happens inside the parliamentary chambers. But behind the scenes, there's a National Assembly staff, supervised by the clerk and the deputy clerk, who is appointed by a National Assembly committee.
The work is not only what you see on TV with people going back and forth. Some things good, some things bad, some things we can do better with. But it is what is happening behind the scenes to make sure that these meetings take place. But we have a more important role in making sure that the National Assembly operates at a very high level, a professional level, so that when bills are proposed and come to the House, there's systems and committees in place to look at these bills to see are they ready. to fact check some of those the information that are being proposed in that, and to be able to offer our legislators the opportunity and insight into other laws and bills.
Essentially, the fabric of the Belizean identity has been woven together in part by what happens inside the National Assembly throughout the years. From the freedoms that are afforded to us, aid for the most vulnerable, essential infrastructural development, and the list goes on. But how can greater public participation in the legislative process be encouraged?
Every decision taken in the National Assembly of Belize, both the House of Representatives and in the upper house, the Senate, it is about people's lives. It's about the direction of the country, and ultimately will impact your life. And so they should pay attention. I readily admit that some of the language is not the best. It's not user-friendly. Some of it can get a bit too legalese, if I could use that term. And some of the procedural can be a bit monotonous, I dare say boring.
We don't pay enough attention to our history, where we're coming from, and our children, likewise, do not really know how important it is to know about how bills are passed, how to lobby for their own environments. If they're going to school and the traffic is preventing them from walking across the street, do they know that they have an area representative who can address those things? So, as a community, we have to shoulder some of that responsibility. And that's one of the reasons why people don't pay attention, because they think, oh, going there, oh, they banter, they already know what they want to do, and it's just a quarrel to show who is what and a little power thing. It's much more than that.
Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.